Do you own a piece of gear that inspires you every single time you use it? Let me know in the comments. For me, that piece of gear is the Eventide H90. And today I'm going to show you how I use the H90 almost every single day for writing and recording. Before we get further into this video, 3 super quick things. First of all, this video is not sponsored in any way, but if you watch it and you want to purchase an Eventide H90 or another piece of gear, consider using my Sweetwater links down below. Second of all, if you want to get access to all of my Eventide H90 presets, my Quad Cortex presets, and get longer versions of these videos, consider supporting me on Patreon or YouTube memberships. And lastly, I have some limited openings for online guitar lessons. If you're interested, email me at colegmusic@gmail.com. The H90 is hands down the most powerful pedal I've ever owned or tried. I look at the H90 as more of a studio tool rather than a traditional pedal because I use it in so many different ways. I use it on all of my different instruments. I use it for writing. It's a great inspiration machine. I use it for recording, and I use it for mixing. It's so powerful and versatile, and it just sounds great. I truly believe that you can create any effect sound that you've ever thought of with the Eventide H90. There's over 70 different algorithms in here, tons of different delays, reverbs, pitch effects, modulation effects, overdrive effects, granular effects, so many different options for sounds here. And there's a ton of options for tweaking the sounds. You can do so much with pretty much every sound in here. Plus you can run 2 algorithms at once, and that allows you to create some really crazy sounds. But enough technical talk. Now let's talk about how I use this for recording and writing. When I write music, I find that a lot of my inspiration comes from the tone I'm using, whether it's a specific setting on a pedal, my amp, or a setting in the Quad Cortex. That's what really inspires me. And when I use the H90, what I do is I plug it into my computer and I use the editor to create different effects. And I find that when I do this, I always come away with a song at the end because I find the H90 sounds to be just so inspiring. And usually I don't like using an editor to create sounds. I find that I get option paralysis and I just don't generally like it. But the H90 is kind of the exception to that rule for me. I find that the editor and the H90 itself feel to me like almost a separate instrument rather than just a pedal or a piece of software. I find that I play to it, and that really inspires a lot of different ideas from me. When I'm creating effect presets when writing, I generally follow 2 different approaches. One is a more basic approach, and the other is a more complex one. Let's talk about the basic approach. Though the H90 can handle some really complex sounds, as you'll soon see, it can also handle just some very great basic guitar effects. Whether it's just great delays, reverbs, modulations, it can handle them with ease. Even though these sounds don't necessarily show the processing power of what the H90 is capable of doing like a complex sound, I use these sounds all the time for lead guitar parts, rhythm guitar parts, on other instruments. They're just really great sounds that work in the context of a mix or in the context of a song super well. My favorite basic effect algorithm in the Eventide H90 is called sticky tape. Sticky tape is a tape emulation effect algorithm. You have a bunch of different tape settings in there. It's kind of like an overdrive and a modulation effect built into one. I'm a sucker for recording with like tape emulation, and DI guitar tones with tape emulation sound really, really good. This effect algorithm I use in quite a few different ways. The first way I use it is just as basically a direct guitar tone. So here's what it sounds like with no amp. So I love that sound, but I also love the modulation aspect of it. So right here, the W and F amount, I like to adjust this a little bit more. We're gonna go a bit crazy with this. And it sounds like this. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone use this? But if you set it right and maybe not as crazy like that, you can get some really cool sounds that just make your riff stand out a bit more. But that's just one of the ways that I use sticky tape. I also use it as basically an overdrive pedal with my amp simulators or my actual amps. So for this sound, I'm going into a Vox AC30, I believe, and it sounds like this. And then with it, finally, the last way that I use sticky tape is basically as a harmonic sonic sweetener for other effect algorithms. So for this sound here, I have a synth sound from the H90, and it sounds like this. I like to run these kind of sounds through the sticky tape, and I find that it just gets a bit more character to the sound. And I can turn up the overdrive, or the drive I should say, up more. Here's another example of using sticky tape to just add a bit of harmonic color to an effect. So I have a delay here. Sounds cool, but now let's add sticky tape. Now let's talk about my approach to complex sounds. For these sounds, my ultimate goal is to basically make my guitar not sound like a guitar. Though I love basic guitar tones, I love really pushing the sound of the guitar to create something new and different. When I'm writing or recording, I typically won't use these complex sounds as like the main guitar sound. I'll usually use them in the background in place of like a synth kind of, or like a pad sound, but these sounds are just so much fun to mess around with, and I find that they give me a lot of inspiration to write different stuff, maybe in a slightly different style than I'm used to writing. And there's a lot that you can do with this pedal to create some really crazy complex sounds. I want to highlight 3 different complex effect algorithms in the H90. And the first one here is the black hole reverb. This is kind of a reverse reverb. It's like a reverse gated reverb almost. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really cool. So check this sound out. It just sounds wicked. Add the sticky tape to it. It's just a really fun sound to create some really cool washy textures. The next algorithm is actually a category of effects, and it's the granular sounds. I use these a bunch for ambient guitar parts. I like to put these in mixes just to kind of lift up other guitar parts. It kind of takes the place of synths for me, or synth pads for me. I just think they sound good. I'm probably underutilizing them. There's probably way more crazier sounds I could use with them, but I like the simple stuff. And it sounds like this. And finally, the last complex effect algorithm I want to talk about is the undulator. I think this is super sick. It reminds me of the black hole reverb. It's like a delay tremolo kind of thing. I can't describe it well, so here's how it sounds. finally, the last way that I use my H90 for writing and recording is using it with my other instruments that aren't guitar. I find that this pedal can just push any instrument that's plugged into it into a completely different sonic territory. I love running this pedal through my lap steel, for instance. I like to run a synth algorithm in the H90 and a reverb or a delay, and it just creates such a cool sound to it that I'm sure when like my lap steel was made in the 50s or 60s that they wouldn't have expected the lap steel would sound like this, but it just sounds super, super cool. I love running my $7 Casio synth I found in a thrift store through this. It just sounds super cool. You can make any of these instruments sound like they weren't supposed to, and I think that's really fun. So I've gone on and on about how I use the H90, but is it the right pedal for you? Now, unfortunately, I can't answer that question. Only you can. Sorry. But I can give you 2 reasons why it might not be for you. First and foremost, if you're someone who just likes basic guitar effects, basic delays, reverbs, modulations, and you don't want to tweak a bunch of stuff and you don't want to use an editor, I would say just stay clear of the H90. Even though the H90 can do all those sounds, there's so many other pedals that could do it at a fraction of the cost. I would really recommend the Line 6 HX1. I have one. It's an amazing pedal. You can get 2 of those for almost half the price of the H90 and you'll be super, super happy. They sound great. They're just amazing pieces of gear. The other reason why you may not want the H90 is because of the price. This is not a cheap pedal at all. It's around $1,200 Canadian, and obviously you gotta make sure that you're gonna use this pedal to its full extent if you're gonna drop the money on it. But if you want the Eventide effects sound at a cheaper price, there are some options. There's the brand new H9 Generation 2. I think that's what it's called. I'll put it on the screen here. This was just announced not too long ago, and it has all the algorithms of the H90, I believe, but you can only run 1 at once as opposed to 2. And the other option I'd recommend is trying to find a used Eventide H9, the first generation of it. It doesn't have all the new algorithms that the Eventide H90 has or the Generation 2 H9, but this is a really great way to get into the Eventide audio ecosystem, and you won't regret it. Their stuff sounds amazing, and even the older effects are gonna blow your mind. But that's it for me today. Let me know in the comments if you've ever used any Eventide gear before. I'll have Sweetwater links down below for the H90 and all the other gear I mentioned. If you use these links, I do receive a small commission on the sale. It's a great way to support the channel if you're in the market for some new gear. If you want more Cool G content, head over to my Instagram page or my TikTok page at Cool G Music. And if you enjoyed today's video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm Cole, and I'll see you in the next one.